Now to China. The country celebrated National Day yesterday. Now we're hearing Beijing could take a much harder line against Hong Kong. And Eunice Yoon joins us from Beijing, where I know they're hearing restraint, but it seems like the protesters are taking it to another level to some extent, Eunice.
Yeah, that's right, in Hong Kong. But overall, this week, the government offices are closed. You mentioned for National Day and for the National Day holidays. But the state media has been in full force. And mainly, the media here has been praising Beijing's strength, as well as the latest piece of military kit, which is an intercontinental ballistic missile known as the Dongfang, or East Wind 41. This is the longest range missile that China has ever had, and it is said to be capable of reaching America's shores within 30 minutes. So this has been the main talking point today in the state media, also on social media. A lot of people have been saying that this just shows that China can now defend itself, and in particular, the threat is that now China won't be bullied by the United States. So even the state-run People's Daily, one of the authoritative voices here, has been fanning more nationalism by cooperating with the Chinese tech giant Tencent on a patriotic game. This game, which is known as Homeland Dream, it's a free app. It's one of the most downloaded now in Apple's China App Store. And the idea of it is that users can build cities, sort of like SimCity, but with Chinese places. And the way that users kind of level up is that they learn more about Beijing's policies and also win Communist Party slogans such as reform and opening up. Now, in Hong Kong, the people, as you can imagine, for the most part, are feeling less than loyal to Beijing. In fact, today, students staged a sit-in because of the shooting of a teenage protester by the police with a live bullet. So this has been something that many people have been condemning. Office workers were out on the streets today as well, denouncing the move. The police have said that the officer acted in self-defense, but activists and many others are not buying that story. In fact, Joshua Wong, who's one of the lead Hong Kong activists, had said that Hong Kong is now clearly a police state, but the teenager now is in critical condition, and the fear is that the situation between Hong Kong and Beijing could escalate and worsen even further, especially if, hopefully this doesn't happen, of course, if that teenager does pass away and in some way becomes a martyr to their cause.
I was going to ask you about his condition, because I guess it's not the way to look at it. To put life in those terms, but it could make the situation, could worsen things quite a bit, as you say. But at this point, critical condition. Yeah. That's I don't know whether that's good news, but he's hanging in there, right?
Yeah, he is. But what was also interesting is that Beijing officially has not responded. Of course, the government offices are closed, but they still will, if you ask, make a statement about it. And even in the state press, there has been very little discussed about this teenager. The only reference is that he's in critical condition. But in terms of any official statement from the government, so far what state media is doing is quoting the Hong Kong government, saying that they condemn the violence of the protesters.
Well, so we don't. Supposedly there was some type of lead instrument involved that was being swung at the policeman, right? Is that not true? And what do you do how do you decide whether you're at risk of deadly force? It's tough. I can see how the protesters would say that, no, there was no deadly force. But then again, if you're a policeman and things, you're surrounded and you're wondering, I don't know. It's tough
You have people on top of each other for this
well,
long.
Yeah, and I think that it's a kind of a new conversation that I think in Hong Kong people are having. Unlike in the U.S., I think, where there's been so much police video that comes out and people are all jumping on it and weighing in. In China and in Hong Kong, this hasn't really happened because there aren't a lot of guns. So it's something that's quite new. But when you look at the video, you do see a police officer, moving in onto this young Hong Kong protester and shooting. It appears as though he's shooting at a very close range, and there's a flash of light. And so that video has been going around, and it doesn't look as though he is working acting in self-defense, but it's hard to tell just from looking at these videos as an outsider.